My story is from when I was a younger therapist, and I was just really starting to appreciate dementia. And back in the day, we probably referred more to it. This was a long time ago. Senile dementia, Alzheimer's type, or hardening of the arteries, or something's going on. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. And so I was in a long-term care facility, and I had a woman who had advancing cancer and she had super fragile bones. And so the reason she was in, she had been at home and she'd broken a hip and she'd broken an arm and she'd broken a shoulder. And so it just got to where everything she did, she'd make a mistake, she'd lose her balance, boom, there she goes, something else. So her son opted for, after the last hospitalization and fracture, that she should go into care. And then she had this cancer that was progressing. So she had radiation treatment, she'd had chemo, and so she'd lost all her hair. And so I was seeing her as an occupational therapist. And I started really noticing, wow, she was really getting lost in time and place and situation. And so she thought she was younger than she was. She thought she was more fit than she was. She forgot all about the surgeries, that she wasn't weight bearing. And so she would get herself in more trouble. And so she, well, yet again, and had another hip fracture. And so she was healing from all of this, and it was very slow heal. And I was working with her on things OTs typically worked on, like self-care activities, and how could she do some of these things and what could she do? And it was pretty limited because she had so many things going on. But she really enjoyed working with me. And it was back long enough that we didn't have to be like super specific about payment, because we were part of the, like, payment for the services was part of your payment for being there. And so we found out that she was terminal. I mean, the cancer had spread too much. And they thought she had a very short window of time to live. And she asked her son, her one son, I really want to go home to die. And he was, no, mom, I'm not doing it. It's too risky. I don't feel okay doing this. And it was like, so I advocated for, I said, well, maybe if we could, like we could work on some things and she could do it. And he was like, absolutely not. And I watched this woman like collapse into a space of, why bother then if I'm never going to get to go home again? And I will say, he was a good son, but he wasn't a skilled son. And so I finally, one night, as I'm like really struggling with this, because I really thought she should have the right to go home, but it wasn't mine to call. And she still had the house because he hadn't sold the house yet, but he was going to sell the house as soon as she died. And he'd already shared that with her, that he was going to sell the house after she died. And sort of like, like I said, he wasn't really skilled. He was really careful because he really didn't want her going home. He wanted her safe. And the thing was, he had a hard time believing that she wasn't actually a whole lot safer in the facility than she would have been at home. She'd already had another fracture. And so sure enough, I sort of get my nerve up to say, I really think if I went with her and we did a home visit, how about if we just did a home visit to see what it would take? And he finally got to work. Fine, you can take her. I'm not taking her. I'm not going to be there. I can't stand this. And I was like, okay. So the day we were going to do the home visit, she fell out of bed and broke her hip again. It was like,
Oh,
oh no, oh no. And that's when my brain woke up and I realized, wait a minute, wait a minute. This was back in the day. I said, oh, how about, could we make a video walking through her house? Can we make a video? Can we do a video of walking through the house, room by room, all that? You pan around. And he said, well, yeah, I can do that. So he did that. We brought it in and we played the video. And she said, oh, that's where I keep this. This is where this happens. This is that. And so one of the very last times that he saw her and I was there, she was going home, and she got to go home because I was willing to let go of what I thought she wanted, to realize what she really needed was a way to go home. And it didn't mean physically go home, but to really revisit the place that she had lived her life, raised her children, her son. She only had the one. And make things complete because she needed to go back to that place. And as soon as she was back, boy, did she light up.
Mm.
And then she was very appreciative of getting to go home, both to her son and to me. And it made her so comfortable that her passing was super quiet because
Oh,
she had what she needed.
wow.
Alrighty then.
Hopefully I can speak through my tears here. Wow. So this is Gina
And this is Don.
with Focused Healthy Family. Today, this is podcast number 139, and we are talking to Teepa Snow with the positive approach to senior care. Teepa Snow is an occupational therapist with over 40 years of rich and varied clinical experience and academic experience. Her experiences led her to the development of GEMS, states of brain change, and the positive approach training strategy. Her company, Positive Approach to Care, or PAC, provides online and in-person education and products to support those living with brain change. She also co-founded the Snow Approach Foundation, a nonprofit organization based in Hillsborough, North Carolina. Teepa presents with extraordinary expertise and humor to audiences throughout the world, and I am so delighted to have you here.
Me
Thank
too.
you for having me.
My mom first told me about you, as I said before, because my father, who's recently passed, had Parkinson's and developed advanced dementia.
Mhm.
And somehow she connected with you, and she would go on and and she said, I tried it and it actually worked, and some different strategies. And as I mentioned to you before we started the recording, some of the things were things I had also suggested to my mother, but it can be helpful to hear them from someone else, someone who's got that label as this is their specialty. These are the things they've done. So it's wonderful to have you here.
Thanks.
And for a starter question, I was thinking about my first interaction with someone with dementia. I started my career in acute rehab hospital in
Ah,
1992, so it was a ways back. And I remember working on the stroke unit, and I did morning ADLs, and we went in there, and I helped her get dressed, and then she took off all her clothes. And I helped her get dressed again, and she took off all her clothes. And I'm
yeah.
like this 23-year-old therapist going, what am I supposed to do?
We get in, we get out. We get in, we get out. Well, she was in a really good cycle. Did you document how good she was at taking off her clothing?
I don't know that I did. I was sort of baffled. But I'm curious if you can recall one of your first experiences with dementia.
Yeah. My very first one was even longer ago than yours. I graduated in 1980.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know. So, my first experience was on a fieldwork placement. So, while I was still in school, we had, back in that day, we had a lot more placements than I think they do now. I was at the state psych hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to go up on the locked unit for the
Mm-hmm.
chronic care and meet my therapist up there. But my therapist got tied up, but they said, go ahead up and just hang out on the unit. And this was back when they had the glassed in nursing center where the nurses sat in the glassed in area and the people just sort of roamed about and there was a day room. So I'm on the unit and I'm like, do, 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 do. And this guy comes by. His name was John. And he says, hey, baby, you got a cigarette? Now, I now know that what John was living with was tardive dyskinesia, really severe, caused by the overuse of haloperidol, which was the drug. It was like a vitamin. We were giving it to everybody because it kept them from being agitated and aggressive. And so he was in a psych hospital, but so I thought, well, he's a psychiatric patient. And so I said, oh, sorry, no, I don't smoke. And he said, well, shit. And he walked on by. And of course, he shuffled. And so he went around, and it was a big circular place. And so I'm still standing there because my therapist hasn't shown up. And here comes this guy again. And he goes, hey, baby, you got to sit. And he'd keep coming around and he would say that. And then I would say, no, I'm sorry. I don't smoke. Shit. And he'd walk off again. So this was like 5 or 6 times loops around. And And finally I go, okay, this isn't getting better. I'm afraid he's going to get upset. So this time when he says, hey, baby, have you got a cigarette? I said, well, what kind do you smoke? And he said, Pale Males. I said, wow. Wow. Because my grandma smoked Pale Males. I said, wow, that's a strong cigarette. He goes, well, if you're going to smoke them, you might as well get something out of them. And then he walked off, and I thought, well, that was a better interaction. So that was as a very, very young therapist. And at the time, I thought, God, this is psychiatry. And then I realized, oh, no, that was dementia. I just saw dementia walking around. And I didn't know it because it took me probably 5 more years to realize, oh, that was a repeating loop because he didn't know what else to do. He wanted to greet me, he wanted to get connected to me, but he didn't have a lot of skill. And so he used the thing. Plus, he liked smoking, and he was on a unit that you weren't allowed to smoke on the unit. You had to go off the unit. And guess who he had to approach to get a smoke to go off the unit? So, I mean, he wasn't like impaired in all ways, but he sure showed all the symptoms. So that was one of my very first experiences way back in the day.
I love that. And you found a new way to approach it all on your own. And I'm guessing this is one of your
And you
first
just kept
days
worrying. Yeah. And you
on
just
the
kept
unit.
worrying about how to get the clothes back on and how to get the clothes back. And one of the tips I'd give you is, you know what? Take her out of the room with you. Because if you take her out of the room, then the cue to get back in the bed isn't there.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, I've learned so much since
I
then
know.
as I've progressed, but I didn't even think about that till recently because I tend to think if I went from the rehab hospital to nursing home.
Ah,
And I had done a lot with brain injury. I loved brain injury. I'd done a lot with young adults with car accidents
yep,
and things. And so I was very used to that kind of rehab.
yep.
And I had a guy, an older man at the nursing home, and he thought I was, someone from his school years back. And I reoriented him to time and place, and he got agitated. And I learned in that moment, okay, that's not what we do with
That's
dementia.
not a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't try that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
brain
I'm not sure
injury
that's the
rehab.
strategy we want to use. It seems like it really doesn't help him and it really doesn't help me.
So,
Well, I was going to ask just you had a thing about zoology too. I was kind of curious about that. Now we don't have to go too far into that.
yeah,
I'm just
I
kind of
kind of looked you up a little bit and saw you got
Yeah,
it
did
back.
you now? Yeah. Well, that was because I had 5 majors in college, and my mother finally said, here's the reality. If you do not finish and graduate in the next semester, you will pay for the semester after that. And it's like, oh, okay, let me look and see what I can graduate in. So the
okay.
answer was, if in the last semester I took 4 courses and one what was it? I think it was it had to be a phys ed and health course.
Okay.
One more phys ed and health credit. So I ended up taking 4 related courses. Oh, ugh. And I got to coaching secondary track and baseball.
Okay.
Okay, track and baseball, all males. And they were like, well, you can't take that course. We're in the locker room. And I said, well, you're going to have to figure out how I'm taking the course because it's the only one that fits in my schedule. And so Enos Slaughter, who taught the course at Duke, uh, finally had a woman in a class, and he was not
Wow.
Wow.
skilled batter, but not what you call real friendly with female types in the locker room.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So it sounds like you really enjoyed school, and I saw that you did go into academics. When did you find occupational therapy?
I was working a daycare. I was a night clerk at the Carolina Inn with my
Okay.
my my really great degree from Duke in zoology. And you realize I don't, what do you do with it? So, well, you go into pre-med. Well, I had sort of checked out med schools and it's like, I don't know if I want to do this right away. So I was working at Carolina in night shift, and then the days I'd have off. And so certain days I would volunteer first at a day center for kids with developmental disabilities and adults with dementia in the basement of a church.
Oh, wow.
They were
Wow.
housed very similarly, and so you spent time one way or the other. And an OT came over, Linda King Thomas came over to evaluate a young woman with cerebral palsy that I was working with. and I spent a lot of time working with her. And so I was involved in the assessment of actually trying to figure out how could we get an eye gaze chart. I mean, this is back in the day. How do we get an
Mm-hmm.
eye gaze chart? How do we modify her seating so that she's safer eating? How do we work on the eating of food items? And she had very little communication strategy because she had spastic athetoid CP. And so it was
Okay.
pretty involved. And she'd come stay at my house on the weekends, stuff like that, because we were friends as well as I was supporting her. And um, and Linda said, "Well, they're starting an OT school at Chapel Hill. You should look into it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll apply." And 2 months later, I'm in the first class at the UNC.
Oh, wow. You're in the first class at UNC.
Yeah. And then I looked back and it was like, oh, it was actually on one of my high school profiles. That was number one of one of the things I should go into.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
never realized it. And then I was the first graduate from the program.
Oh, how exciting. Very
Wow.
exciting. Um, um, I could talk about these things forever. And we also want to talk about the work that you do. Um, you know, the positive approach to care and it sounds like you do, your organization and everything does training with not only people caring for a loved one with dementia, but also at facilities, other caregivers like at nursing homes and things. Because I know as an occupational therapist, worked on many memory care units, and I get so frustrated watching the staff interact. Because the
Or
people,
try to interact.
yeah, the people with the least amount of education and training are the ones with the most hands-on.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's no requirement for any skill development to actually open a special care unit or even in a nursing home for working with people living with dementia. The most you have to do is watch some videos. I mean, but there's absolutely no requirement to demonstrate skill before you start working. I mean, which is really to me sad because
mhm,
what it means is people turn to locked doors and medications all too often when they don't have the abilities that they need to do well in interactions and the old school of reorient, reorient, reorient. This is where you live now. I mean, you
mhm.
found early on that didn't do well and still doesn't. It's like, oh, you're needing to go home now. Do you need to do something there, or you just don't want to be here? I mean, learning the art of how to engage someone to explore what is it they're wanting, what do they need, what's the unmet need. It's not rocket science, but the challenge is we don't ever give people a chance to learn what to do before we say, "Here, go do it." And we
Mhm.
ask them to do really intimate things with people with no skill set. I mean,
Mhm.
really, I mean, if we want to get down to it.
Um,
Now, I'm going to do that and I'll come back and you may have to edit that. Um,
That's okay.
I was like, when?
sorry,
Where did she go? I was like,
I know. We have a motion sensor on the door, but they put the motion sensor on the far side of the door so that if the door is in the way at all, it can't see me.
Oh,
So it turns off the light after a period of time. So I have to
oh,
shift over, wave my arm, and then
to get
come back, and
to
it's
get the
fine.
light to get the light on.
Some contractors do what's right and what makes sense, and some just get it done. And it's like, you put the light control on the side where the door opens, right? And it's like, oh, yeah,
oh well.
you got it. It's like, I feel like there should be another response other than,
Oh well,
yeah,
that's what we did. Yeah.
yeah. So I've adapted. I just periodically step out of the picture.
You need to get a long stick or something
I know
that you
I
could
need to get a
wave.
fan or something that it could move, and that would,
Keep it
that's
going.
actually that just occurred to me. It's like, oh, well, if I put a little fan over there that moved, I guess that would do it. You've just allowed me to come up with a solution to my own problem that
There
doesn't
we
Uh,
require me
go.
to step off to the side.
Environmental modification is one of
I
my
know it must have
favorite
been your
things.
OT background that
It
helped me out there.
is. It is. My favorite thing when I go into someone's room is rearranging it. When my dad was in the hospital, I was like moving furniture around. I'm like, this is not functional. He can't get to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Do I need to
So
leave you two alone here or what?
that's what happens when you put OTs together. Oh, how about this? How about that? Have you thought of this? Yeah. So the hardest part about what we do is to help people stop fixing for a minute and listen.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
in dementia, often care partners are working super hard. And the other group that we do work with that people don't tend to think about are people living with dementia. We actually do consults and training with people living with dementia. How can you get what you need out of your life now that you're living
Wow.
with it? Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating because I'd love to hear a little more about that because we have some family members recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's that are
Mhm.
in the early stages. And
Yeah.
tell me more about like kind of what you do in that
So,
avenue.
so one of the things that we'll ask early on is, so how's it going for you now that you're living with a brain change? Is it going great? Is it going, or is it going miserable? How would you rate yourself right now? And so we try to figure out, where are people after the diagnosis? Because some people will talk about going into a cave and never wanting to come out, feeling really embarrassed and frustrated that they're having trouble. And other people are like, I don't notice it so much. Everybody else complains about it, but I think I'm okay. And it's like, okay, good to know. And then we'll talk about, so tell me stuff you're still doing that give you a sense of value and purpose. And it's like, well, I can't do the thing. I was a doctor and I can't do that anymore. Ah, so that was a big thing. So your profession made a big difference for you. So where are you finding that then? I mean, what are you finding? Well, I don't know. It's like, well, I could really use your help. So as a physician who worked in the field a long time, what were some of the first things that you noticed that made it different for you? And we call those courageous conversations. And so I'll say, would you like to do a courageous conversation to sort of share a little bit about this transition that you've gone through? And what it's done and what you're doing, like right now, what we're doing that helps. And so people really start to realize, oh, well, I can still do a lot of things. I mean, like that I was doing before. It's just a challenge. So we're going to try some differences to see how we support it, because there's still a lot you can do. And we want you to keep doing everything you can do for as long as you can do it. Yeah, eventually that may shift, but for right now, it seems like you're still capable of doing this and this. So we look
Mhm.
a lot for what are the abilities and then support those. And it could be mentoring others, or it might be helping us do things, or we do all kinds of stuff.
Well, and it's so empowering too, because you see all the time when someone has dementia, we don't want to talk about it. They don't want anybody to
Yeah.
know the
Yes.
secret. We talk around them and
Yeah.
and so it's kind of like we're ignoring it. And yet there can be so much awareness. I know with my dad with Parkinson's dementia, I always say there was too much awareness. Like
Yeah.
he knew what was going on. He knew his
Yeah.
brain was failing him
Yeah.
and just how frustrating, that was
Yeah.
for him. And I would have conversations with him about that.
Better out than in, as we say. Better having those conversations than holding them in and just feeling that loss of relationship, loss of connectedness, loss of communication. Because when we talk about things, our brain starts, I go, wow, that's amazing. Tell me more about. And all of a sudden, what you're experiencing has value.
Hmm.
Um, and the idea of, now, let me ask you something. So when I say, what would you like to drink? That's super hard, I'm betting, because that's like a whole range of options. What if I said to you, would you rather have something hot or cold to drink right now? And I broke it down to two categories. And so that would be a whole lot easier. Okay, how often does your spouse ask you in that format? Okay. Do you want to bring your spouse in so the three of us could have a conversation about doing this?
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, she just brings me what I like. Yeah. Yeah, but that doesn't allow you the opportunity to use the language you have, to work on the breath control, to be able to make the choice you want to make. Yeah, she knows. But all of a sudden, what happened to your power to make a difference?
Sure. Sure. And I can see easily how that leads to agitation and
Mhm,
things
mhm,
that people don't feel they have any control. It's like a child throwing a tantrum. They
mhm.
want that sense of control and they want.
Absolutely, because I'm a full grown adult. I mean, you always make choices for me. You never give me a choice. And it's like, I was trying to help. Well, that's not helpful. And so the arguing can start without even realizing why it's happening. Because I mean,
Mhm.
truly, everybody's trying to do the right thing. But if you don't know what the right thing is, what is it? Well, it's a
Mhm.
challenge. I mean, it's truly a challenge to try to
Mhm.
figure it out if you come into this cold. And actually, most families, by the time the diagnosis is happening, they're not in early state. They're in middle of the
Yeah.
disease. It's been going
Yeah.
on for 5 to 8 years, and we've
Yeah.
missed so many opportunities along the way just
Right.
because we're so committed to, I don't think that's, I mean, it's just aging, right? It's just normal aging. I mean,
Oh,
everybody has that. It's like, not
yeah.
like that. That's a little different.
Mhm. There's a lot of denial that goes on, and people. I worked in assisted living, and the woman, her daughter was a nurse. She
Hmm.
clearly had Parkinson's disease, but she
Hmm.
did not take her mother to a neurologist to get assessed. And of course, we couldn't diagnose her. My boss
Right.
was a physical therapist. She goes, I really think this is might could be neurological. I really think you should have it checked out. This went on for several years. The woman just declined. And, it wasn't until the last months of her life that she's like, yeah, maybe I should go have it checked out. And it's
It's
like,
like how many missed opportunities of living well and living fully and being in a family of support. I mean, and one of the things we do a lot of is say your family just grew up and changed, and you've got a bigger family now. You've got a community of support
hmm
when you look around. And if you don't, we need to talk because
hmm
you will need a community of support.
hmm
We want to get out of this model of one person and only one person caring for the other person because all it means is both of you are going to go down. This is a major, major life changing condition and super important to get more support out there than you need. So when you need it, you can pull
yeah,
it without it feeling depleting for everybody.
right. Having
Yeah,
it ahead of time,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's hard for people. They don't
Super
want to,
hard.
think that there's something wrong. They don't want to, you know, um, several years back, I had said to my mom about, it might be good to have a caregiver with you. They lived in a 55 plus community and they'd go to activities. And one time he wandered off and she didn't know where he went. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it might be good to have a caregiver when you go out. She goes, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, that's one of the most
And,
common statements in the world. We're not there yet. I don't. We're for sure not there yet. It's like,
it was tough. If it's
yeah,
your spouse, as I'm kind of going through, but
yeah.
luckily it's not dementia, it's a change in the relationship. You go from being the partner to their caregiver, and
And this is like at first you're still mostly the partner, a little bit of a caregiver.
mhm,
And you can forget about the caregiving role a lot of the time because the skills are still so abundant that you think,
mhm,
yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of support. And what we keep forgetting is moving forward, it's going to shift more and more until this can start to feel like this. And if we don't have someone to hand things off to, and the partner gets used to it, I mean, there has to be some getting comfortable with a different person. And it's
mhm.
not abandoning the relationship, it's actually sustaining it.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to really believe for a lot of people because it's like the shh. Let's not admit that something's changing, and it's like let's talk about what's different for us because I think we would be really good if I were doing this, but if you're trying to do that for me, that's not going to be a really good match. I can guarantee you
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
because as we say at our house, I can clean the refrigerator. My husband can clean the refrigerator. We cannot clean the refrigerator together because we each know exactly how the refrigerator should be cleaned. And neither one is comfortable with the other person's way of cleaning the refrigerator. So it works best if we assign when the refrigerator is going to get cleaned.
I like
Because
that.
who will clean the refrigerator more frequently? And then I get resentful that he's not cleaning the refrigerator, but it's just his brain doesn't notice that,
Yeah.
seriously, let's clean the refrigerator. Well, I'll do it. It's like, yeah, I know, eventually.
We have a
I
few
know we're
things like that, Don.
disrespecting the males on here.
Well, and it's funny because Don does a lot of cooking and cleaning. I went back to work full time when our youngest was born and he was growing a business from home. So he started making my lunch for me and
Ooh.
he has continued that for a very long time. Yes, I'm spoiled. Although if it was the reverse and I was making lunch for my husband, it would be like no big deal. Everyone would assume that's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that
Mm-hmm.
extra attention that men
There
get when
is.
they step up and do these things, and it's like,
I know.
it's funny.
Well, and it's here's the interesting thing about dementia. These days, 1/3 of all carers are male,
Mm,
and
Wow.
they are not prepared for a lot of the reality check of doing this level of overtime. And at first,
mhm,
it is sort of like prompting and reminding and getting
mhm,
somebody to the bed, whatever. But eventually, it's going to be real intimate care.
mhm.
And a lot of spouses, male spouses, are like, and male kids are like, ugh, what's it? Wait a minute. I'm not comfortable doing this. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about that early on so we can start putting together what might be needed. Not right now,
Right.
admittedly, but let's get people used to people. Because I
Mhm.
mean, you don't build relationships like if I walked in and I said, all right, Don, we're gonna get your clothes off and get you in the shower. I'm pretty sure the moment would be, I don't think so. Who are you? And yet, I mean, in the world of dementia, it's like that's happening to people
Yeah.
because I can't hold on to like this one other conversation we had about the in home care support. But if
Mhm.
you've been in my world for a while, I know you're familiar. I know you from somewhere, like the lady or the person who thought you were from whatever school or whatever it was. I
Right,
can't
right. Yeah,
remember.
the older gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah, the
When I
older
worked in
gentleman.
the nurse, and he's like, "Yeah, aren't you in, yeah, he was
Yeah,
talking like he was still back in school and that I looked familiar to him. And yeah, I could have easily, yeah,
yeah,
run with that and said,
yeah.
"Yeah, yeah, let's go."
Tell you what, let's go wash our hands because it's almost lunchtime. I mean, and having a relationship where we wash our hands first for a while before I say, okay, now I'm going to have you pull down your pants and pee in the toilet. It's like, wait a minute. But we sort of, in the healthcare field, we start taking for granted these intimate tasks that we support people with. And
Hmm.
we assume that they need help with that support. And it's like, I think I'm fine. I don't need you to do that. And yet maybe the sequencing is the problem, not the physicality of the problem. Or maybe
Right.
it's realizing you haven't been for 3 hours, and if you don't go soon, we're going to have an issue, and you're not going to
Hmm.
like that part, and neither is anybody else. um, and so figuring it out, how do we get to that place? And it's like, before you need to, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, the sooner the better, of sort of starting to be curious.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, prevention is so, I mean, important in so many areas, but yeah, being prepared ahead of time for what is to come and doing that prep work. And it's tough because you can't, it's like with my mom, we talked about in-home care. She didn't want someone 24/7. It's like if we could have fast forward, my dad's last months were spent in a memory care unit. If we could have fast forwarded, she'd see
Yep.
what that looked like. She might have done things different sooner, right? And yet,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yet the average person doesn't know the ins and outs of it and this.
Well, and not only does the average person not know, they avoid contact with. I mean, they don't want to think about it. They don't want that to be, they are hoping. I mean, the number of people I say is, I just hope she just drops over and
Mm,
falls over and dies. And then we don't have to go through all this. And it's like, you say that, but that's not true. You don't really want that. That's really hard to lose somebody. I get it. I get
mhm,
that sense of, I want people to be well until they're not here,
mhm.
but very few of us are going to have that experience. I mean, most of us are going to have to figure out, how do we live our lives with less complete abilities than we had when we were in our prime? And what are
Sure.
we going to do? How are we going to do that?
Mhm. Want to ask you a little bit more about communication. Don and I, our business has evolved around communication. We started following the book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Let's Listen So Kids Will Talk, if you're familiar with that. Um,
Yes.
um, and we were focusing, we have kids with anxiety disorders, and we
Mhm.
kind of found ourselves in that world of helping other parents who had tried lots of different things and nothing was working. And we took the family approach, that it's not we need to work with your kid. It's how is the whole family communicating? What is that dynamic? And we did that a while. And I kept thinking, I have all these years in geriatric experience. I've worked in home health care, I've worked in nursing homes, assisted livings, and all these years. And we started talking about this whole sandwich generation and the juggling act. We have a teenage daughter who's in high school, and just the demands of that, and caring, helping my mom care for my dad, and all these things, and realizing that so many people, yep, are in this position. Um, and knowing that those principles we learned from the parent book, it's really basic communication principles, and it just applies everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you get tired being dynamic. I mean, that's the problem, is really listening is that, I mean, it takes a lot of energy to really listen and pay attention. And so we
Mhm,
want a free ride somewhere. I mean, nobody doesn't want a free ride, except you get on that bus and you realize, oh my gosh, this isn't at all the way I wanted to go. And it's like realizing, oh, well, so your choice is you own it and you do it, or
mhm,
you pay for it. And
mhm,
that's hard, because as a sandwich, can we have an open face sandwich? I get open face sandwich. I want a break. I don't want to feel the pressure on both sides all the time. And
mhm,
yet, I mean, the reality is the sandwich generation really does have pressure on both sides.
mhm.
Um, and the sandwich is getting older too.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I work with so many people in their 90s, and their
I know.
children are geriatric as well, right? It's like they've got their own health issues, they got their own challenges. And
Who
to
would have
me,
thought we'd be here, but we are.
I know, I mean, in my 30 years as an OT, people are living so much longer and than they used to. I get people, I'm 85, and I'll be like, well, the lady down the hall is 99.
Yeah. Or there was one time in Tennessee, this has happened to a couple of colleagues, where this one woman living with dementia who was in her 80s said, have you seen my mother? And I said, yeah, no, I haven't seen her. One of the aides said, she's in 107 down the hall and to your left. And I at first went, are you trying to get rid of this lady? And so I followed her down. Sure enough, her mom was down there. It was like, oh my gosh, she's close to 100. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that longevity, wow.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, things are definitely different. And then, the other thing with communication is different generations and being open to
But do you use your thumbs like this, or do you still use your thumbs like this? So you
um,
can tell how old we are by how we use our cell phone. I'm like,
yeah,
I can't get my thumbs to do that. I don't care what I do. It's like I need the index. This is how I hunt and peck.
yes. Don's 10 years older than me, so we're slightly different generations. So we joke about those things, but yeah, my kids amaze me at how quickly they type things, and
Well,
blows my mind.
well, I have a 5-year-old who says, "Here, Nana." It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. I hand it to my oldest and say, I need this done. Can you do that?
here,
Or
can you get
any
that
one
done?
of them for that matter, let alone the oldest.
Well,
No, I
even
know.
when Don was at the hospital after his heart attack, he had a life vest fitted on him. And I was glad our 15-year-old was there because it's a little complex putting it together. And I'm like, she's going to remember this better than the two of us put together. And in fact, I wasn't home when he was changing it out. And I'm like, be there with your dad. Like, make sure he puts it in right. And it's
I'm a
also,
little more intelligent than that, but not that
it's
much
it's
further.
not a lack of
No, I
intelligence,
know.
Don. It's
No,
not a
it
lack of
It's just
intelligence.
that second set of eyes, because it's like, man, how many steps were involved in that?
Right. I would
It's
want
like,
someone double checking me if it was my life vest. I mean, it's sort of an important
he's fine. Don't worry. He's got it. He's a lot less worried than yours. Like, you had a heart attack. It's like, yeah, I'm back. This is the second one.
Yeah, been through this before. I'm curious. I was looking on your website at the Snow Approach Foundation, and it did mention, in addition to dementia, helping people with other brain changes. I love that word, like Don's going through with his little stroke he had. I'd love to hear more about, what that foundation does in that avenue.
Yeah. So we work with people who are status post head injury, maybe have mental health concerns, whether anxiety, depression, or some combination thereof. We have people who are adults living with ADHD or ADD. We have situations, we have teenagers who are coming in and spending time because they are on the autism spectrum. And they find it really challenging to find places and spaces where they're not only okay to be, but really excited to have somebody there with that kind of skill set and that kind of difference. Because we really do a lot of neurodiversity kinds of
Okay.
things. So it allows us to create this inclusive space.
Okay.
Our building has lots of spaces where people can be in different spaces. Not everybody has to be crammed into one small
Okay.
location. Um,
Okay.
but we chose it for that very reason. And we have lots of things that we do in the world that we could use support with.
Hmm.
So people really do find purpose and pleasure and sort of self-fulfilling kinds of things to engage with us on. And it's interesting to watch an intergenerational phenomena start to happen. And we also work with kids to bring them into this space. And we're working on also building an animal program.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
So
exciting.
people have a lot of animals they bring, pets they bring with them, mostly
Right.
dogs. But we're also working on building that program because of the connectedness between neurodiverse brains and animals.
Yep. Yeah, I've got three neurodiverse children, and the one is animals are her thing. She's a veterinary assistant right now. And yes,
Yep,
that when she had her anxiety disorder was really bad, that's when we got our first dog, and it
yep.
was amazing how much that dog helped her. Um, I'm curious, I was reading into you and learning more, but your organization is out of Hillsborough, North Carolina, which isn't
It
far
is.
from us.
Yep.
And so you have a physical location there where you have a center where people come in for different
Yeah.
things? Okay.
Yeah. We in shortly after we're finished here, we'll be running our afternoon Brain Connection Cafe, which
Okay.
we have folks come. Some from come from facilities, some come from communities, some are care
Okay.
partners, some are partners, some are on their own.
Hmm.
We have a lot of diverse brains coming in, and we'll do something that's sort of good for us, and then we do some things that are helpful to
Hmm.
other people. And then we have some social time to just sort
Wow.
of hang out and be present with each other and see what's going on in everybody's world. Um,
Wow. I
yeah.
love that. I love, do you have any of those anywhere else besides Hillsborough?
No, one of the challenges we found, people will say, yeah, 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 we're using your techniques. And then we'd watch and it was like, yeah, um, let me show you what it looks like if you really include everything that we're doing
Hmm.
into the work you do. And the reason we decided to establish this is so that people can come do training, do internships, and then go back and establish their program there with their
Hmm.
own flavor. But at
Right.
least they will have experienced really what we're talking about doing, creating an inclusive
Hmm.
community that's intergenerational and interconnected by virtue of what we each have and what we bring to the table and where we would like support and need it. So it's really it's our opportunity to try to help people get the idea in real time.
Wow. I love that it's intergenerational. You don't typically see that. My mom, for my dad, when he still lived at home, there is a Montessori adult
Mhm.
daycare center and south of Charlotte. And it was amazing. I went there and I told my kids, if something happens to me, I want to come here. They have different
Yeah.
stations set up with activities and they ran it like a community. Like my dad thought he was
Mhm.
on the board and,
Yep.
participating in it. And for a while it worked for him. Um, and you don't see a lot of that. I mean, Charlotte
No.
is a huge city in North Carolina and there's one location of this. It's not even really Charlotte. I think it's Rock Hill.
Yep.
And yeah, but the intergenerational, when my kids were little, I homeschooled my kids for a long time. And
Uh-huh.
we went to it was an assisted living facility with a
Yep.
bunch of other moms and their kids. And we went once a month and did activities with the residents. And, I'd already been working in geriatrics and I just loved because most of them love kids.
Oh yeah.
And it's, their family might be far away and just doing activities together.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's we found that we have a Montessori kids school here, and so the kids from the Montessori, we have 60 kids that we are working with now that will become partnering with us. Will start partnering with us after this week actually
wow.
start coming in and participating, and they're from 6 to 12 years old. And
Okay.
what we know is that, building skills can happen at any age, and brain development and brain failure have a lot in common. And with some right support, it can make a big difference in people's lives. And then we have animals, so we have plants, and we have opportunities to maintain space. And if you like to wash dishes, we have that too. Because what we find is that what helps people feel whole is what helps people feel whole. Just what it is.
I could talk with you forever, and I would hope we can connect again in the future. I do want to just, as I was reading your website and looking through things, I was learning about the different training programs, and which is something I'm definitely pursuing, but also for any of our other listeners who might be on here who are, professionals or anyone who themselves is interested in getting more certification training. Just tell me a little bit about the different training levels, because I noticed there were like different things that you could.
There are, yeah. I mean, for families, we do things like Care Partner Support Series and Care Partner Gem Series, which are online, available for people, educational support. How do you get more aware of what's going on around you? And then we have what we call our champion courses, where you work on your skills, actual hard skills that you need to do a really great job. And we have found there are a number of skills you need. Some of them have to do with how do you enter a relationship? How do you actually engage with people? How do you support somebody verbally, visually, and through touch? And then we have our certifications for trainer, for coach, consultant, champion teacher, and engagement leader. So we have a whole host of opportunities. And then there are also organizational designations if a whole organization wants to get better at this.
Right. It's exciting. I dug into it more because obviously I've been a little busy lately, but and
a little, yeah.
What?
No problem. Just a few minutes every now and then. It's all good.
Good gosh.
I mean,
Did you get your lunch today? Sorry to sound a little weird. So I have a friend that just stopped by, as a matter of fact, because it's a little ahead of time, but she came on by. Karen, do you want to come say hey real quick?
Sure.
I have a friend of mine. This is Karen. Karen lives.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, she lives with Lewy body.
Okay.
And frontal temporal. And frontal temporal dementia. But she's coming on in. Come on in. Come on
Love
in.
to have you join us on our podcast. Hello there. Hello.
Okay, this is Dawn. Yeah, that's Dawn up there.
Nice.
This is Karen.
Hello,
Hi,
Karen.
Karen.
So she's local.
That's right.
Okay.
Time to start getting busy.
Thank
We're
you
about to have some fun here in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Ready for all your
dancing.
Activities.
One of your favorite things is pickleball, though.
Especially now that it's with whatever they're called.
Yeah, back in the back.
Back in the back, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll be doing that.
Nice motility living citizen. Blah, blah. Okay,
yeah, something like that.
If you're not worried, I'm not worried.
I'm not worried.
Okay.
Okay, tell you what, I'll be with you in just a couple minutes.
And I'll leave this stuff.
You can leave that right there, and I'll pick it up in a minute.
All right.
Wonderful.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good
Bye,
Thanks,
Karen.
Karen.
Thank you.
I'll see you in a few.
Thanks.
I love it. So tell us, and we'll post this on the website and when we share it, but how can people learn more about you? Any other last things you'd like to say to our audience?
The easiest place is one of two places, teepasnow.com, just my name with no space.com, or snowapproach.org. Snowapproach.org. Those are the two places are our websites. We also have an 800 number and all that good stuff, but just go on the website, try info at Teepa Snow.
Any last minute things you'd like to share? Or
thank you for doing what you're doing. I think that outreach really matters. I think recognizing families are critical. And in dementia, we lose too many relationships if we don't figure out how to come together into relationship with the changes. And so I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you being here, Teepa Snow.
For sure.
That's our podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it. You can view it on YouTube as well as anywhere you get a podcast. Please leave us comments. Let us know if you've liked what you've heard. If you'd love to hear back, we have Teepa Snow on again. We're here to guide you through your caring for your aging loved one and on your journey of juggling different things. You can join me on my Ask the OT that I do on YouTube, where I'll share information and insight and answer questions on caring for aging loved ones. You can join Don with his tapping circle. He's an EFT practitioner, and he does monthly tapping groups. And I'm going to be joining him on this month's tapping group on October 29th at 7 p.m. on YouTube. You can learn about what tapping is and participate with us. You can find out more about us at focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. And join us for every Thursday when we do our podcast. Our next Ask the OTs are going to be November 4th at 7 p.m., November 13th at 12 noon.
And remember how you, uh-oh. I was going to say it, now I lost it completely. Oh, he's going to give it to me so I can read it.
Isn't that handy?
Yes.
That's nice how she did that visual cue.
Yes, how you speak to your children and your loved one today shapes their future and yours.
And I would say maybe how they speak to you in the future.
Okay.